Video sales letters. Some people call it the holy grail of direct response advertising. I mean, the idea that you could put into a video 10 minutes, 15 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, some sort of a message that resonates so well with your audience that they decide to click and either buy or book a call with you so that you could on the phone close them on something that is as little as $2,000 or it could even be $25,000. Now, here's the thing. Making a great video sales letter isn't about following some template or just putting some crap together, hoping that it converts, which is ironically the way a lot of people write video sales letters. And who am I to say that? Because I've written well over 100 video sales letters in the health, in the wealth, in the relationship space, made over $100 million doing this, working with some of the biggest names across the info space, the SaaS space, the supplement space, and anything that you can name. I have been the actual behind the scenes ghostwriter, if you will, that hasn't got a massive YouTube following or an Instagram following. For all intents and purposes, you may look at me and think that I'm a nobody, but that's why what you're going to get over here in this video is going to be something that not a lot of people are talking about. I've really only over the last year now started to come out and share all the things that I've learned in my journey as an agency owner, as a business owner, as a marketer for well over a decade. So if you watch this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what it takes in the process of writing a VSL. The one thing that most marketers overlook, that if you get right, you will be able to write banger VSLs, write VSLs that convert like crazy, that get people to click through and book a call or buy from you. And that is one thing that's very simple. One overlooked thing. The one thing that the best direct response marketers knew better than anyone. Before they even wrote a single piece of copy, it's the one thing they did so that they knew that if they did this, they would be able to write easily, more efficiently, more powerfully to their audience. And that's what I want to talk about right now. So buckle in and let's get ripping. So what is that one thing? That one thing, if you think about it, is knowing who you are talking to. So what do I mean by that? Who we're talking to. It's really about the prospect, but not just the prospect. Okay, that's one part of the equation. It's also about knowing who we are competing against. All right, that's very, very important. Who we're talking to, who we're competing against, and then what we are actually selling. It sounds very simplistic when I put it this way, but the who, what methodology, or the 3Ws methodology, is very, very important to understand. Because ultimately, what that means is let's first look at who we're talking to. Okay, a lot of programs out there that you may have enrolled into as an info product owner, a coach, or an agency owner, they tell you to write about your avatar. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But really, when we look into this, we want to really understand what the truest desires are of the person that we're going after, what their problems are. That's really their real world, in reality, observable issues that they're going through, but then also the emotional pains. Okay, pains and problems are different. Pains are really more feeling based. What do they feel about the problems that they're going through? We want to really nail those things down. And there's a bunch, right? There's primary problems and pains and desires, there's secondary, there's tertiary, and then we can really boil them down to a few things. Okay, recently I was writing a video sales letter for a FX trading bot, and a lot of the people that we're going after are over the age of 50. And a big pain point for them is that they're getting closer to retirement, but they're realizing, oh crap, I don't really have a nest egg. So in the process of understanding who we're going after, we're able to realize, okay, we can talk about the problems of, having to work longer or not retire soon enough, yada, yada, yada. But the real desire that we're really going after is having security, right? Like, I just want to have security. I want to have a nest egg. So that's why we were then able to create a unique mechanism for that VSL called the Nest Egg AI. That's what we're calling the foreign exchange trading bot. It's the Nest Egg AI. That's the technology. That's the secret sauce that we use. Because inherently we now know that our avatar or our ideal prospect wants that safety, that security of knowing that if they're not able to work anymore, that they will be taken care of. Okay, so you see, it's by really understanding that demographic very carefully. And then also what we understand about them is that they don't have a lot of time. They're working. They're career people, or maybe they're business people. They don't have time to be staring at charts and day trading and all this crap. They want an algorithm to take care of everything for them, but they're also risk averse. They don't want to be putting their money behind something that isn't proven, that isn't safe. That's oftentimes why they go for like financial advisors and they settle for like crappy yearly returns that barely beat inflation. So we have a big element, again, of wanting safety, wanting security, not wanting to be risky. So again, we then broke that down into, well, how the nest egg AI works is by using something that we would call the SAFE methodology. We literally created the word SAFE into an acronym, okay? So without getting too deep into the VSL that I'm talking about over here, what I want you to understand is that it's important to know who you're talking to, okay? The next thing that's important is to know who you are competing against, because you want to know what the claims are of all the competitors out there. What are they claiming? Okay, if you're like in the dating space, for example, if you're going after people that are, for example, single and that want to get more dates, they want to find their dream girl, maybe they want to find their traditional wife. If you're going to be talking to them, you want to understand what your competition or other programs or other offers or other products are already promising these same people. And you want to learn to see what the market is responding to. Okay, you also want to make sure that you sound different to everyone else, because if the chances are you're going out there to advertise and you're going to be creating a VSL, there are people out there that have come to the market first, or they've come there before you. And so your demographic has already heard the different claims, the offers, the promises, the transformations that these other competitors are saying that they can help the prospect achieve. So why would you want to just say something that sounds like them? You want to say something that sounds different. That's the main point of advertising. If you say something that literally sounds like everyone else, you're going to be slapped with the same sticker. Like, you're in a category that I know, like, you're going to get boxed in. People are going to say, okay, well, I already know what this is, so I don't need to actually take the time to consume and understand and pay attention to this piece of advertising material. But when you're actually able to see what competitors are saying, what they're claiming, what their benefits are, what their price points are, what their guarantees are, then you're able to really see what makes the most sense for you to promise and offer, given what you know about who you're advertising to, right? So who you're advertising to, who your prospect is, and then who your competition is. And then afterwards, it's what your product is. And it's one of the parts of the research and the analysis process, which I said to you earlier on, that the greatest of the greatest direct response marketers always did. This understanding what you're advertising, understanding what your product is probably the most overlooked part, because oftentimes when we do this properly, we can find what the secret sauce is. And that's something that a lot of people tend to overlook. They look at their product as, oh, well, I'm a dating coach, or I'm a freaking personal trainer, or, I don't have anything different. It's just exercising, or it's just like, advice on how to flirt better, or man, it's how to make money online. It's learning how to start a marketing agency. It's nothing different. Well, if that's really how you feel about your product, well, good luck trying to convince someone that you're any different. That's why it's important to look at the product, how it works, when it works, who it works for, when doesn't it work, etc., etc. And in that process of that product research and that product understanding, you're able to figure out what we would like to call the unique mechanism. Right? The unique mechanism is the unique vehicle, if you will. It's the extraordinary recipe that you've developed uniquely, which could be something very normal, but when combined with all the different factors that went into you creating it the way it is today, it inherently becomes unique to you. So even if I'm a marketing agency owner, for example, that has grown multiple agencies and can help you grow your agency or your info product to multi-seven figures, that's something that's being offered by a lot of people on the internet, for example, but they haven't developed what I call the infinite ad loop, right? The infinite ad loop is my proprietary 3-step process that, if implemented, becomes a virtuous cycle that allows people to run ads that never fatigue, that don't need to be updated constantly, and that allow you to cut your ad spend down by 40%, or allow you to get a ROAS that's 40% better if you choose to increase your ad spend. That's a promise that I'm willing to make, because I know that my unique mechanism, my unique secret sauce on how I advertise, how I media buy, how I write copy, how I think of creative, how I think of really everything when it comes to ads is different. It's better. And so now if you're listening to that, you may think, okay, well, that's really cool. What's the infinite ad loop? I want to learn more. Okay, cool. And we would maybe want to talk about that. So you want to understand what your product actually is. And that's usually one of the harder things to do, because we think of our process in very complicated terms, because we think of all the different things that go into the delivery of our product. But oftentimes there's one thing that we could just point to that will be like our marketing magic, that if we put in front of our prospect will allow them to really see, wow, what this guy is talking about is different, it's new, it's novel, and I want to learn from him. So those are really the main things that go into writing a good VSL. It's the research process, okay? Who are you advertising to? Who are your competitors? What is your product? If you understand those three things very, very well, you will be ahead of the race. Now, furthermore, as a bonus, if you're still here watching this video, what you want to do is you really want to come to some sort of a conclusion, right? You want to come to some sort of a conclusion as to what it is, for example, about your product that will appeal to who you're advertising to. I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you now know who you're advertising to, who your competitors are, what your product is, you want to start drawing some conclusions based off of the observations that you've made in your market research. So for example, I may say, all right, since I'm going after single moms that are overweight, that don't want to do more exercise, that want to just be able to eat whatever they want to eat in order to just lose weight in some new novel way, based on what the competition is saying, that they're going to do like P90Xs, and it's just going to be like crazy workout after the other and crazy diets and this and that. Okay, I know that the promise that's really going to appeal to them is going to be something along the lines of, adding one ingredient to their diet that they can find in their pantry usually, that's going to allow them to shed, an extra 5 to 10 pounds in the next like 45 days. That's a very attractive freaking offer. It's like, what the frick is that? What is that one ingredient, right? Because I'm understanding who the person is that I'm going after. I'm understanding who my competitors are and really what they're promising. And then based on my product, I know that what I have is something that's unique and different. And it's my unique mechanism is basically, it's something that you can find in your pantry, right? It's one ingredient in your pantry, add it to your meals, 3 meals a day, bada bing, bada boom, you're going to lose weight. I'm giving you a very surface level example. Of course, it's a lot deeper than that, but this is how generally I would think about things before I even start writing a VSL. It's the research and analysis, and that is inherently what the best marketers do before they ever write a single piece of copy. Okay, I have a student right now that's creating a VSL, and I gave him the feedback, like, look, you need to do research. It's probably going to take you some time, and you got to write as much as you possibly can before you even start. You got to research as much as you possibly can before you even start writing the VSL. And he hits me up being like, hey, could you review my VSL? And I'm like, bro, you've probably not done enough research over here. I know it, because when I was writing my first VSLs, dude, I spent weeks researching things until I just couldn't write anymore about the actual demographic that I'm going after, about the competition, about my product. And once you reach that point, then you're actually ready to start writing the actual meat of the VSL, which I'll get into some future videos on how you can do and how you can replicate some of the success that I've had writing VSLs for some major names in the industry. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to connect more and learn more from me, you can join my school community or hit me up on Instagram. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this. Peace out.